for myself, drawing on what I've learned from studying thinkers like Rothbard and Mises, the line for me is it's statism versus freedom, ultimately. And statism enforces taxation, which is the only business in the world that's deriving its revenues from theft, not from mutual exchange. The only non-criminal organization. And so this, underneath all of this problem, I think, is the very obvious concept that it's easier to spend other people's money than it is your own. And it's also easier to be more frivolous with that spending than it is your own, because you have no consequences, right? If you're stealing money from people, it's very easy to misallocate that capital versus your own. So the math I've looked at here is that if we had the whole world today just using Bitcoin as money, then government revenues would fall 50% worldwide, which would imply 50% smaller government. I know this is something you said you haven't thought about a lot, but I'm hoping to orange pill you and help you orange pill your audience at some point that we really do need Bitcoin to shrink government.
So as you know, the pushback I hear all the time is the subversion of cyber currency by the central government entity for their own purposes, and transforming that to enable a social credit type outcome. I find the logic of the blockchain protected currency that is based on something tangible. The computational solution to an algorithm is one. Tying to precious metals of some sort is another. But I do find the logic that having decoupled tender from some tangible has led to chronic abuse that, as you rightly point out, is inherently destabilizing.
You know what it is, Robert? It's a decoupling from energy expenditure, because even precious metals like gold, what secured its supply from corruption was the energy required to mine gold, right? There's a cost, just like any business, there's a cost to production.
I'm sure where you're going is that Bitcoin essentially represents an energy expenditure to derive the solution.
Yeah, the purest form. That's right. Way ahead of me on that one. I know it's a complicated area, but we've, at least I think I speak for Bitcoiners in general, that we've done a lot of homework on this, and there's only one solution we've identified. And it's not just, although Bitcoin's a new phenomenon, people have been thinking and writing about this for hundreds of years. You know, it was Hayek that said a long time ago, we needed the sly roundabout way to take money out of the hands of government if we're ever to stop government. And we think that's what Bitcoin is.
I'm reminded of a presentation that I saw in Chicago when I was a medical student at the Museum of Science and Technology in Chicago that had a presentation on money, of course, because of the importance of Chicago and trade, et cetera. And that was the first time I encountered this logic that ran through, the correlation between the skin of a deer and the buck, and that it was grounded in something tangible, but that eventually it just became the value of the currency was determined by those that were exchanging it in a very kind of an arbitrary, organic way. And so with that background, when I started to learn, I'm still very much a student of the blockchain logic, but I'm with you that it's compelling, and I personally don't have enough sophistication economically to test the hypotheses. I'm compelled that very intelligent, deep-thinking people have invested a ton of time in trying to sort this out, and are now kind of, having come up with that core, they're now exploring out from that center about what what a cyber currency based economy might look like and what the toolkit might be. I hear a variety of thinking. Some sounds a bit naive, but it's an untested world. So
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think they call it the Church of Money in Chicago. I was there with Eric Weinstein a few months ago, and their entire body of knowledge is based on deep scientific flaws. Like they think the economy is an equilibrium structure, for instance, where if you have even a cursory knowledge of complexity theory, there is equilibrium only in death, right? Everything's in disequilibrium all the time. So that's a whole rabbit hole, but this idea of inflation propelling mass psychosis, like Salem witch trials, like Hitler's rise to power, seems like it'd be wonderful if we just get rid of that entirely. This whole idea of arbitrary inflation, just have a money that has 0% inflation. And that's what Bitcoin is. But